commodities, banking, stock, energy, private equity. This is Broad Street Drive on 99.3 Nigeria Info. Retail, manufacturing, trade, forest, finance. We talk about it all on the Broad Street Drive on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Hello, Lagos. It's 2:33 p.m. here on Monday, July 20, 2026. I am Hilary Noroka, and this is Broad Street Drive on 99.3 Nigeria Info. Today, we are returning to a conversation we started at the top of this World Cup, because a tournament this size doesn't just make headlines on the pitch, it moves serious money off it. A few weeks ago, we broke down the opening picture of what this World Cup means economically. Now that the tournament has played out, we are back with the fuller story, the numbers behind the noise. So over the next 25 minutes, we are going deep on the money behind the tournament, starting with ticket sales and what they reveal about fan demand, then broadcast economics and the rights deals that bring the World Cup into homes everywhere, including yours. We'll talk advertising revenue and the brands paying to be part of the moment, betting and its growing footprint around the game, the financial windfall for FIFA itself, and finally the economic cost and benefits for the countries that host it all. And if you are a regular at the International University Sports Federation. She served on the Spectator Services team at the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. So when she talks about the World Cup, she knows exactly what she is dealing with. Chidebere, welcome to Broad Street Drive once again. Oh, hold on, Chidebere. Let's fix something with the audio. So Chidebere, welcome to Broad Street Drive once again.
Thank you very much, Hilary. Good afternoon, Lagos. I hope everyone enjoyed the final. It was almost a spectacle, but Argentina tried, but the rest of the world prevailed.
The rest of the world? Do you mean the rest of the world was against Argentina?
Not against Argentina, just the pattern of football. It was a World Cup final. It was a little bit disappointing. The performance was disappointing.
Anyway, but don't forget that Messi has about 500 million fans on Instagram. I'm sure they were rooting for him. His followers must have been rooting for him. But anyway, we've seen the World Cup final 1-0. In your opinion, what do you think? Was it an anticlimax? Because everyone was expecting something more. Personally, I was expecting something more spectacular, especially from Argentina. So what do you think?
It was a disappointing game. I felt Argentina, I don't know what their game plan was, because it never changed at any point. We know Spain is a possession-based team, and they outplay you. So I expected a little bit of an outlet, like over the top and, fast-paced wingers for Argentina to play from. But they never really got out of the first gear, even after the halftime, and it just looked like they were playing for the penalties, and unfortunately that didn't get to that point, and it was really anticlimactic, especially if you had watched the third place game, which had 10 goals in it, and then the World Cup final was just it was disappointing. But congratulations to Spain.
Guess what? It was the third place match that I decided to skip. That was spectacular. But anyway, this is not Femi and the gang, so we aren't talking sports specifically. We are looking at the business of sports, and here, the business of the World Cup. I'm looking at an Instagram post here from FIFA President Gianni Infantino. He shared an image on his IG account with a number 6.8 million. That's the number of spectators that filled up stadiums in the US, Canada, and Mexico. Now, that's double the number of the previous World Cup and more than double the number of the 2018 World Cup. What does this say about the World Cup fan?
It spoke about the Aztec Stadium in Mexico, the stadium in Vancouver, the New Jersey Stadium. The sizes of the stadium means that FIFA could sell more tickets, but you also have to understand there were 104 matches against the 64 in 2022. So there were more matches for fans to buy tickets to, and regardless of who was playing, I think there were not up to 5 matches where there were no capacity fans in the stadium. So especially considering it's staged in the USA and Canada and Mexico, especially in the USA where it became a celebrity affair. Fans came for several reasons, but it was a fanfare all through. So for that number, you consider you had 16 venues, 16 cities, 104 matches, and of course, the sizes of the stadiums that were used ensured that number, of course, tripled.
Now, I'm glad you talked about celebrities because I just can't count the number of them I saw yesterday. During the final match, it was as if everyone was there, every musician, every Hollywood actor, every other superstar was there. But before we come to the superstars, I want to talk about something about the 6.8 million people who filled the stadiums, right? They paid through their noses. Let's talk about ticket prices. So I'm not exactly sure. I've not seen any number about the total amount paid for tickets, but there's some figures I have here, especially concerning over the final. Now, the average ticket price for the final match was $15,331. That's according to SeatSpeak data. But another data from Sports Money puts the average price at $11,327. So whether $11,000 or $15,000, that is a lot of money. What does this say about ticket pricing?
You have to consider the venue. In the USA, Super Bowl prizes go as much. So you can consider that the highest of those prizes went to the hospitality suites, the VIP seats. But I think an average regular price went about $2,000 to $4,000 US, which is quite a lot compared to Qatar, where you had finals tickets at $500. That's for the most basic seats, and then going up to between $6,000 and $10,000. So it just shows you it's Hollywood and everything. It's all about the view. It's all about the luxury of it. So yes, unfortunately for regular football fans, this was not a World Cup final for them, which was why the final was more disappointing, because if you're bringing in expensive fans and people who are being introduced to the sports, that was not the game to introduce them to, but for the tickets, it was abnormal. But we expect football and World Cup tickets to go back to its regular prices. This was just a unique USA thing because the fans from the USA are used to escalated prices for their main event. For instance, courtside seats for the NBA go as high as 15 to 20,000. The Super Bowl, the same thing. So you have to put this into notion. And of course, we counted the celebrities we saw, so you can understand why the tickets were at that price.
Oh, I saw someone who posted, well, I don't know if it was true, but he posted a picture of him sitting at a privileged part of the stadium. He said he got his own ticket for $1 million last minute just to get into the stadium.
That's very... I wouldn't know about $1 million, but scalped tickets are usually sold at ridiculously high amounts. And of course, if you're then looking to be in those hospitality suites, then it then climbs into extraordinary affairs. Of course, the president of the United States was there. We had a flurry of the celebrities there. Of course, if you want to rub shoulders with the creme de la creme, then you have to, produce the money to do that. I wouldn't know about 1 million, but I know scalped tickets go for a very high price.
Okay, talking about the tickets now, let's take a look at two things. First of all, Nigeria as a country, where data some time ago showed that less than 5% of us, or about 5% of us, have ₦500,000 in our bank accounts. So the average price right now would be, that means the average price at $2,000, like you said, would be about 3 million naira or thereabouts. So what does this say? Will Nigeria ever be able to host the World Cup? Would FIFA be able to say, okay, Africa host the World Cup again like South Africa did in 2010? Or would FIFA look at our spending power and probably keep skipping Africa? So that's on one hand. Then on the other hand, what do you think? People are saying, I've heard this in several places and from several quarters, that the reason why the next World Cup will be shared amongst 3 continents, you see, 2 countries, major countries in Europe, 1 in Africa, and then I think 2 matches or so will be played in South American countries, is just so that every other continent will be covered and the World Cup will come back to the United States soon after 2034, which Saudi Arabia will host, so that FIFA will be able to make the kind of money that it's made in this World Cup.
The thing is, major sports events, mega sports events like the Olympics, the World Cup, these are very difficult tournaments to host by individual nations, except the country is willing to pour in a lot of finances. So you can imagine, you can understand why these organizations like the IOC and FIFA are trying to find co-hosts to this competition to reduce the cost of hosting them. So of course, until we hear anything official, we wouldn't know the arrangements of who is going to host what. But coming back to your question on the ticketing prices, sometimes these sports events are not necessarily for the ordinary people. But I can tell you that the capacity for the New York, New Jersey Stadium was just over, I think, about 80,000 people. I believe there will be 80,000 people in Nigeria who could pay the ticket prices to go watch the World Cup final if it was ever staged in Nigeria. Yes, the common man in the US could not afford it either. So it's a situation where you have to know what your budget is and what games to attend. But that brings us back to the business of sports in Nigeria. And do we actually buy tickets to go see our games? How many of our Super Eagles matches have actually been ticketed? You hear things like it's announced in the news, oh, the governor of this state throws open the gates of a Super Eagles game and we celebrate it. Oh, we shouldn't do that, because what it means is we devalue the prestige of going to a games, and we disinform Nigerians on the actual benefits of buying tickets. We can go into why we don't have actual merchandise sponsors in Nigeria because of our buying power, not necessarily because we don't have the money, but because we don't have the culture of buying like Adidas brands or Nike brands or Puma brands. That's a different conversation for another day.
So what do you think about what's the incentive to investing in sports in Nigeria? From what you've described, it looks like any investor will not put money into sports in Nigeria. What's the incentive? What should we do to incentivize investing in sports in Nigeria? I mean, you work with NUGA, Nigerian University Games Association, and of course the Federation of International University Sports.
First of all, the basic problem of Nigerian sports in its entirety, including the university system, is we don't have facilities. We don't have modern sports facilities. Take football, for instance. We think it's just to have a cut grass and stuff like and the flags and the post. That's not what it takes. There's so many things that go into having a modern day facility, including the gym, the exercise part of the whole thing, and building modern day facilities in spaces where people can actually access them, because we have all these elephant structures that are not being used. They're built far away from the people. It's not marketable, and we cannot afford to have those elephant structures. And essentially, they go to waste because they're not well maintained. So I believe that despite any sports policy that is brought into the system right now, of course, we do need a viable sports policy. The first priority of any Nigerian government who wants to invest in sports is to begin to develop sports facilities. We need to be able to have facilities that match our international rivals. If you use South Korea as an example, they have almost a sports facility per city, if not two, depending on when I mean city, I mean like a region, say local government, which means that the common man can have access to this, and then of course that promotes club competition. It promotes everything. So for me, the first place to start is to have the facilities, and then you can build into the other products that you would have included in your sports policy.
Chidebere, let's talk advertising revenue and sponsorship. I know
Yeah.
the last time you were here, we brought up the hydration break issue, and I mean, just like FIFA, you said it was because of the heat. But to me, what I think it's for the money. Right? Convince me otherwise. And look at what I found out. Fox Sports hold the rights for the broadcast rights for United States for the World
Yeah.
Cup. Now, and for each match had two hydration breaks, totaling 4 minutes and 20 seconds per match. Now, Fox Sports, to advertise during the hydration breaks, Fox Sports charged advertisers between $200,000 and $300,000 for 30 seconds. And for the final match and matches where the United States played, it was about $750,000 for 30 seconds. Meaning that throughout the match and the World Cup, a total of 7 hours, 30 minutes, and 40 seconds across the tournament, advertising during hydration breaks likely generated $250 million in the US alone. Convince me it's not about the money.
This is a business show, so why would I convince you otherwise? But Hillary, you have to look at it this way. There were stadiums where it was cool enough to continue playing, which was why you heard the boos. But this is a regulation that have been put pre-tournament, must have been agreed. And if we look at the way the games go, you find out that the teams began to appreciate it because at first we were seeing teams who lost their rhythm after the hydration breaks, and then the other team equalized, but then the teams began to get used to it. And of course the intensity of the game also, it gave the players time to reinvent themselves with a different intensity. So that's the only reason I can give you for the water breaks. It wasn't necessarily for the heat because some of them played under an air-conditioned stadium, but you also have to consider the altitude sometimes, or the way the game is being played, at what pace, and the humidity as well. It's not just if the sun is shining. But for the health of the players, some of these players have played 60 matches already in a league season. So the hydration breaks would have helped them. But of course, it's all about the money. The money is important. Of course, it goes back to the coffers of FIFA. At least a portion of it goes to FIFA as well, which goes to the players, which goes to the clubs. So it's a distribution from everyone or for everyone. So it's some of the humane and some of the money, and I think it balanced each other perfectly.
Do you think it's going to be a regular feature in football?
Oh no, I don't think so.
You don't think so? Why don't you think so?
Because I don't think if you're playing, say in the Midlands in England in November, you need a hydration break. Instead, you actually need extra minutes to jog and warm up so that you don't catch a cold in between the games. So I don't think it will be a thing.
Anyway, I learned that British broadcasters didn't cash in on the action because Ofcom, the regulator, the broadcast regulator in England, did not allow them
Yeah.
have adverts during the hydration breaks. But talk to us more about sponsorship and broadcast rights. How much do you think broadcasters made and FIFA made in this World Cup?
There's a revenue speculation of about 13 to 15 million US dollars that has been made during this tournament.
You mean
Like
billion?
a billion rather, sorry.
Yeah.
Billion, and it's the broadcasting right went for about between 3.9 to 4.2 billion for all the pre-game, post-game, and of course the hydration breaks. So that's the estimated revenue amount that has been made for this tournament, which is immense considering that it's almost threefold what FIFA has ever made before. And if I were FIFA, I'll be looking to also expand the number of teams that come to the World Cup, because this means more matches, more broadcasts, and stuff like that. For the host nations, an estimated between 17 to 40 billion in like maybe revenues, because we've talked about the people who were in the stadiums. We've not talked about those who were in the fan packs, who were in local hubs, commercial places where the games were watched. So there were a lot of, and of course, construction and all that. So there were lots of employment that was gained. So for mega sports events like the FIFA World Cup, it's usually very financially motivating for those involved, because there's a chance for income and revenue generation. So it was categorically a successful financial transaction between the fans and FIFA.
And who else do you think made money?
This, like I said, FIFA made money, the cities made money, the broadcasters made
Let's
money.
put it this way: as we the next World Cup is in 4 years. If
Yeah.
I plan to make money, either in Morocco, Spain, wherever else the World Cup is going to be played, what do I do? How do I position myself to make money?
You have to, as a Nigerian, you first of all have to pray that Nigeria qualifies.
Okay.
Except you, of course, Nigeria Info intends to join the broadcasting partners of FIFA. Then you can market like the adverts and all that to be in on it in the Nigerian perspective. But that again has to, you can't go and start struggling the market with the US or other countries, which means again Nigeria has to qualify so that the Nigerian businesses will be willing to shell out the money to advertise during those games. As an individual, though, I wouldn't know off my head right now how you would make money, except if you're a live streamer or like a sports analyst. Then you can get income to analyze these things. Of course, again, if you're a betting man, I don't know about you, Hillary.
No, I don't bet, but go ahead.
then you can begin to stipulate your point. Will Messi be back in the next World Cup? Will Ronaldo pull come back in the World Cup? Will Mbappe finally get his hands on a second World Cup? You begin to permutate and speculate on what might happen. So that those are the ways you can make money as an individual for the World Cup. And I wouldn't know like any other way. You have to tell me your talent, Hillary, for me to help you.
Oh, okay. Well, let's forget about my talents. But let's talk about the talents of someone. Okay, I know you mentioned some betting, content creation. I actually wish we had time to dig into it, because I think content creators made money, and I know the stadium yesterday was filled with content creators. I think they had some things to do with FIFA. There was Mr. Beast there. There was iShowSpeed and other people there, right? But something else is also the way former sports people still make a lot of money as analysts. And I was reading somewhere that David Beckham probably made about $15 million or so from the World Cup. How does it work?
You first of all, you have to have the image. You have to have played well. And there's a popular saying that you cannot really call the game if you haven't played the game. So it's more believable when Ibrahimovic tells you you could shoot it from the left and not from the right, or Thierry Henry. But if I was saying that, you ask me what's my pedigree. So the monies they make come from their pedigrees, and of course these are also brand ambassadors. So for these broadcasting stations, it's easier for them to connect to these brands, to get in those advertising funds, if the ambassadors are on the program. And of course, every other product try to catch these people. So they have the attractive name, they have the attractive image, and it's very easy to get them on board. So hence, they continue to make the money.
So maybe I should try and become a big boy, big influencer. So I'll be called in to give analysis, right? And be paid a lot of money for my skills.
I should also propose that Nigerian will begin to invite, maybe Nigerian will pays me more to do sports analysis. And then we can start there. That's how we start.
We'll think about that. We'll consider that. I'll talk to Femi and the gang, and we'll consider that. But
No,
just to inform, we've run out of time anyway. But I think the World Cup might be over and a lot of money would have been made. But FIFA still wants to make money after the World Cup. So I saw something somewhere. FIFA is offering to sell the grass from the pitch where the final was played. I think in sizes of 3 inch by 3 inch or so, for $450 a piece.
This is because the stadium is an NFL stadium, and they play in an AstroTurf stadium, not in natural grass, which means regardless of whether they sell or not, FIFA has to the grass has to be removed for the NFL regulations to stay true. So if they're going to make money off that, again, Infantino is being smart, or his marketing team is being smart. And it's a memorabilia, just like players cut out the net from the game after they win a competition. It might just go for that. So I think big kudos to whoever is in the marketing team of FIFA for coming up with that. I think it's a good idea.
All right, Chidebere, it's been an interesting 25 minutes or so talking with you. I wonder what I'm going to do with the grass. Maybe just keep it, ensure it doesn't die in my hands, and possibly resell in 10 years or so.
Yeah, maybe at the point where Lamine Yamal wins the world best player, if he does, or some other player does.
All right, Chidebere, thank you so much. We've actually overstayed our time. Sheriff is here for Hard Facts. There will be the news at 3 o'clock and then Hard Facts. So I've been discussing with Chidebere. Thank you so much, Chidebere Ezeani of the Nigerian University Games Association. It's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you very much, Hilary.
And Lagos, that's it. Like I said, I've overstayed my time here. The news is up next here on 99.3 Nigeria Info FM. I'm Hilary Noruka.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.